अनञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणी। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome to the Friday, Saturday and Sunday morning series on the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have been studying the thematic series 1, the first 3 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadyasyata dharma projita kaitava and nigama kalpataror kalitam phalam. So up till now we have discussed the first verse, Srila Prabhupada's commentary, and the 5 explanations of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Additionally, we just had a little insight into Jiva Goswami's commentary, just on the explanation of how this first verse represents the Gayatri Mantra, and how in this first verse, the 10 topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which are the Purana characteristics, are there in this verse. So that's the 2 points we discussed on Jiva Goswami's commentary. We did not go elaborately because it's quite technical and philosophical, and we need understanding of the sandarbhas for understanding the commentary. But that was suffice, I felt. So today we will begin with the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is explaining the Abhidheya Tattva. So I'll just share the screen. कर्म प्रोजित कैतवोऽत्र परमो नित्मत्सराणां सताम् वैद्धं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनि कृते किं वा परेरीश्वर साध्योरित्यवरुध्यते अत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रुभिस्तत्क्षणात्. So this is a very, very beautiful verse. I'm reading the translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord, Ishvara, becomes immediately Tatshanat, captured in the heart, Sadhyo Ridya Varuddhate, of the accomplished devotees. Sorry. I think this is Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary translation. Yes. I will have to see Prabhupada's. We should have put Prabhupada's translation here. Okay, from the Veda base, I will directly read. Yes. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This is Dharma Projita Kaitavo Atra. This Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth. Srimad Bhagavate Vedam Vastavam, I think so it is, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. It is understandable by them. So that is Atra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. Prabhupada here in the word to word Nirmatsaran, he says 100% pure in heart. But here he says fully pure. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Vedam Vastavam Atvastu. Shivadam means it's all auspicious. It's all auspicious. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Tapatrayon Mulanam. This beautiful Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity. Prabhupada is putting this in square brackets because that's not part of the verse. Mahamune Krite. Why, he is because he attained maturity after being instructed by Narad Muni, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? Kim va parer Ishwar. Kim va parer. As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of the Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart. Sadhyo Ridya Varattate. How? Shushubhis Tatshanat. Atra Kritibi. So that's Prabhupada's translation. So let's go into the commentary. I will change this later on in the slide. Commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Now it's very, very interesting commentary of Srila Prabhupada, and I will ask questions and you will explain which part of the verse Prabhupada is commenting on. Okay. First, Prabhupada starts with religion includes four primary subjects, namely pious activities, dharma, economic development, artha, satisfaction of the senses, kama, and finally liberation from material bondage. So Prabhupada begins with this in his commentary. And what do you think? What is Prabhupada going to now elaborately explain? Which line of the verse here? Which line of the verse he's going to, explain in his commentary? Anyone? Think about it. Which line of the verse he is going to explain? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम। धर्म प्रोजित कैतवोत्तर फरमाओ।
Okay. Dharma projita kaitava atra. Yes, correct. Let us see how Prabhupada builds up his argument. Irreligious life is a barbarous condition. So human life means he should follow dharma, artha, kama, moksha according to the Vedas. If he's not leading a life according to the Vedas, then it is barbarous life. Very heavy statement of Prabhupada. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. If a human being is not practicing dharma, then he's not a human being at all. Mm. And in the Hitopanishad and the Mahabharata, there is that famous verse, Ahar Nidra Bhayamaitun Etat Samanya Pashubir Naranam. Dharmo hi adhiko vishesho, dharmena hina pashubir saman. So Prabhupada is actually paraphrasing that verse. Eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating are the four principles of animal life. These are common both to animals and human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. So this is entire paraphrase of that verse. Therefore, Prabhupada is concluding now. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self-realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. So in human society, there is some dharma. Even in the aborigines, they have certain kind of dharma. Paragraph 2. In the lower stages of human civilization, so dharma is meant, for self-realization and establishing his eternal relationship with God. That's the highest purpose of dharma. But Prabhupada is saying in the lowest stages of human civilization, there is always competition to lord it over material nature, or in other words, there is continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. So, human form of life, or one is here in the material world because of the desire to enjoy. And enjoy means to enjoy the senses. This is the lowest stage in the human civilization. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. So here Prabhupada is making a very deep statement that why people perform dharma. Dharma is performed for artha and thereby for kama, to satisfy the senses. So all this is cheating religion. That's how Prabhupada is going to build the argument. So people take to dharma not to attain self-realization and attain eternal relationship with God. That is pure devotion. It's called as Nishkama Bhakti. But there is, dharma for satisfying the senses. He thus performs pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. This is the situation in modern civilization. So, artha, if one can gain without performing dharma, then he will neglect dharma. But dharma is also performed with the purpose for artha. So those who are pious, in order to attain sense gratification, they used to perform dharma. And today, in the whole world, people are not pious, so they want artha, and by some other means, they try to get artha. So dharma is out because there are these four things: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And uh, artha and kama is what is in the middle. And people are interested in artha and kama. And now dharma is taken out and moksha is also out. So people are just focusing on artha and kama. Whereas the Vedic civilization is very broad, and if you follow dharma, you will get artha, you will get kama, ultimately you will get moksha. That is highest. And still higher is there, which is propounded in the Bhagavatam. That's how Prabhupada is going to come to that point. Man is thriving economically, so at present he is not very interested in dharma. Churches, mosques, and temples are now practically vacant. Prabhupada is speaking about, all religions, in the world. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas than in religious places which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves that dharma is performed for some economic gains. So, this situation, what we see today, shows that why people take up to dharma for artha. And now people are getting artha in some other places, so they're not performing dharma. So indirectly proves dharma is performed for artha. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Artha is needed for enjoying the senses, kama. Often, when one is baffled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes to salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. And one uh, is baffled in enjoying kama, then he wants to attain moksha. So that's how these four are in progression. Consequently, all these states are simply different types of sense gratification. The highest sense gratification being moksha, to become one with God. That's the highest level of sense gratification. In the Vedas, the above mentioned four activities are prescribed in a regulated way so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. These are all Kaitava Dharma and Projita. Jita means it has been, Prakrish Rupena Ujita. It has been thrown out from the Bhagavatam. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. It is purely transcendental literature which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a pure literature, can be understood only by pure devotees and who are already transcendental to competitive sense gratification. Now, those who are not pure devotees, who are still caught up in sense gratification, who are still not purified, they are not yet transcendental, and that's why they are not still pure. But still, Srimad Bhagavatam, by reading Bhagavatam, it will purify them. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. Competition for what? Sense gratification. All wars are, fought for sense gratification. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. Now, here Prabhupada is speaking about how these devotees, pure devotees who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification, they are above all this. They do not compete with the materialist because they are on the path of Godhead where life is eternal and blissful. So the competition here in the material world is who can, acquire more sense gratification. And that's why there are fights. So the devotees, they don't compete with the materialist because they are going to the spiritual world there. So there is no competition there. Now, suppose, in the Karma Kanda Patha, uh, somebody wants to go to the heaven and Indra is there as the Lord of heaven and he is enjoying sense gratification there, although he's a devotee, he's a mixed devotee. Now Indra becomes fearful, oh, he's come to take my post. So there is competition, and that's why Indra tries to send some apsaras to disturb his meditation. Anyone who is doing tapasya here, he becomes fearful. Even when Nar Narayan were doing tapasya, he became fearful and he sent. But in the spiritual world, everyone, can be accommodated. There's no one post there because everyone is a devotee of the Lord there. So that's why the devotees don't compete with the materialist, and because they are on the path of Godhead. Such transcendentalists are non-envious and pure at heart. So this is the qualification of one who is a transcendentalist. He has to be non-envious. The heart should be completely pure. Nindadi shunya ridhaya ipsita sangalabdva. Updeshamrit also says that what is the sign of a Uttamadhikari? His heart is free from malice, criticism. Criticism is born out of envy, but he doesn't criticize anyone. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well wishers to everyone, and they strive to establish a competition-less society with God in the center. So the transcendental devotees are free from envy, they are well wishers of everyone, and Prabhupada is using the term they strive because it is very, very difficult in this world of envy to establish a society with God as center, even in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, because those who are coming within the society are also still conditioned. And to put Krishna in the center, it's not so easy. And that's why Prabhupada is using the term they strive. Prabhupada made this statement, a spiritual institute within the material world is an impossible proposal. But yet Prabhupada established in order to propagate Krishna consciousness, because it was only through the institute that we can reach out to the masses. The contemporary socialist conception of a competitionless society is artificial because in the socialist state, there is competition for the post of the dictator. So the communist and the capitalist, the communists want to have, everyone all well divided equally. So they want to have this competition-less society, but somebody has to distribute that wealth. So there is that post. So it's artificial. It will never work. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. From the viewpoint of the Vedas or from the point of view of common human activities, sense gratification is the basis of material life. Material life means sense gratification. There are three paths mentioned in the Vedas. One involves fruity activities to gain promotion to better planets, karma kanda. Another involves worshipping different demigods for promotion to the planets of the demigods. This is upasana kanda. Another involves realizing the absolute truth and his impersonal feature and becoming one with him. This is the jnana kanda. So there is the karma kanda, the upasana kanda, and the jnana kanda. So these are the three paths mentioned in the Vedas. Sometimes it is mentioned two paths, the karma kanda and the jnana kanda. And sometimes it is three also, the karma kanda, the upasana kanda, and the jnana kanda. The impersonal aspect, paragraph 4, of the absolute truth is not the highest. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramatma feature, and above this is the personal feature of the absolute truth or Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the absolute truth in his personal feature. Now, where is the personal feature of the absolute truth established? Where is it established up till now, where we have studied these first verse and now we are studying the second verse? Where is the personal feature of the absolute truth established? In the first verse, how it is established? Anyone can think about it or give some hint that the absolute truth is personal, where it is stated or established? Anyone? Yes, Jagdishwar Prabhuji. Yes.
अभिज्ञ स्वराट
Yes, exactly. A big N, Swarat. Big N, Swarat. Yes, perfect. It is in the first verse itself that this whole creation, it's from emanating from the Lord, who is Abhigya, who is Swarat. You know? So a person who is conscious, independent, these are establishing the personal aspects of the absolute truth. Correct. It is therefore higher than impersonal speculations and the Jnana Kanda division of the Vedas, what to speak of the Karma Kanda divisions. Srimad Bhagavatam is even higher than the Upasana Kanda because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, the divine son of Vasudeva. So, Upasana Kanda, again, you can have two divisions. Where is the Upasana of the Devatas, and then there is the Upasana of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So that's why it is higher than the Upasana Kanda also. Prabhupada establishes that. In the Karma Kanda, there is competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification. And there is similar competition in the Jnana Kanda and the Upasana Kanda. The Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all these because it aims at the supreme truth, which is the substance or the root of all categories. Now, after Prabhupada in the first three paragraphs has established, you know, Dharma Projita Kaitava Atra, this Kaitava is Atra here in the Srimad Bhagavatam completely kicked out. Prabhupada used to say, kicked out. And Vedam Vastavam, Vastavam Vastu has been established, the real substance. This is real. Material world is like the shadow of the spiritual world. And in the shadow we are trying to enjoy. There is no substance, there is no reality, it is illusion. So the real rasa is there in the personality of Godhead. So that is there. Vedam Vastavam Atra. Atra means again here. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will get the real substance, the real rasa, which you are looking for. From Srimad Bhagavatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. The substance is the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, and all emanations are relative forms of energy. Paragraph 5. Nothing is apart from the substance, but at the same time, the energies are different from the substance. There is the energetic and the energy. They are non-different, yet different. This is the Achintya Beda Bhed Tattva. This conception is not contradictory. Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly promulgates this simultaneously one and different philosophy of the Vedanta Sutra, which begins with Janmadhyasya Sutra. Paragraph 6. If you have any questions, you can always raise your hands. This knowledge that the energy of the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord is an answer to the mental speculators' attempt to establish the energy as the absolute. So that all pervading energy, the Brahma Jyoti, that is the absolute. So the energy of the Lord and the Lord are different yet non-different. So this Achintya Beda Bhed is the answer to defeat uh, the impersonalist. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conceptions of monoism and dualism to be imperfect. Please mark the statement. Monoism means the Lord and his energies. Energies can refer to even the Jiva Shakti. They are one. This is the Advaita philosophy. And dualism means they are different. This is the Dvaita philosophy of Madhvacharya. And when this knowledge is factually realized, Prabhupada is saying, we understand these conceptions of monoism and dualism to be imperfect, Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada is putting dualism also imperfect, which is the Advaita philosophy. Now, why even the Dvait philosophy is one of the, bona fide philosophies propagated by Madhvacharya, and it is a bona fide parampara coming from Brahma, and we are like a sub branch of this Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Prabhupada is saying it is imperfect. Why? It is for you all to answer. I'll just take the next statement and then please think about this question, why even dualism is imperfect. Development of this transcendental consciousness grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and different leads one immediately to the stage of freedom from the threefold miseries. So Prabhupada is saying that if one is one, by practicing the Advaita philosophy, especially the Brahmavada philosophy of becoming one with the Absolute, you're still miserable. Because you're not able to relish rasa with the Lord. There is no loving reciprocations. You're just hanging in the Brahma Jyoti, experiencing Brahmananda. And dualism, which is the Dvaita philosophy, still you're miserable. But when you develop this transcendental consciousness of Achinta Beda Bed, then one is immediately free from the stage of freedom from the threefold miseries, he's saying. So what is the reason? Anyone think about it? Even Dvaita, one is, still miserable. One is still not free from the threefold miseries. What is the reason Prabhupada is saying this statement? I know it's a little difficult, but still I want devotees to try. Yes, Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji.
Prabhu, somewhere in Dvaita there is no loving exchange between the soul and super soul.
In the
Because
Vaikuntha, there is loving exchange between the Lord and his devotees.
but
True, you got it. You got the point, but I want some more, something more.
that's a completely in Owen reference.
Yes,
Right?
that's the point. There is
Yeah.
Aishwarya Gyan there.
Yeah.
He is my Prabhu, I am his servant. So the Lord, Shitila, Naim or Aprita. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord is revealing his heart. So this Aishwarya Gyan, knowledge, it still is miserable. The Lord is not happy. And that's why Gop Kumar, even when he went to Vaikunta, he was not happy. He was feeling miserable. So see, Prabhupada's statement is so deep, like an ocean. And then Prabhupada comes to these threefold miseries. He has spoken about the highest level of threefold miseries, but he speaks about these now. The threefold miseries are those miseries arise from the body and the mind, miseries inflicted by other living beings, and miseries from natural catastrophes over which we have no control. The Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and the Adi Devika. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the absolute person. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the absolute, and at the same time in the eternal position of the servant of the absolute truth. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself the lord of all he surveys, and therefore he is always troubled by the threefold miseries of life. So as long as one still maintains the conception that, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, one will always be suffering. Even if one is, within the institute practicing spiritual life, and as a service, he's been given the post of a temple president or a temple commander. But if he's not executing in the mood of a servant, but in the, in the mood of a master, then he will experience the miseries, the threefold miseries of life. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all miseries. So Jivera Swarupai Krishnera Nityadas. So one has to be situated in his Swarupa. And the Swarupa is revealed at the stage of Bhava. So then you become free from all miseries. Klesha. Kleshagni completely happens at the end of sadhana bhakti. It begins when we take up to sadhana bhakti, but Kleshagni also is completely atyantiki eradicated at the stage, at the end of sadhana stage and beginning of bhava bhakti. As long as the living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant of the Supreme. Please meditate on Prabhupada's statement here. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. So one has to be situated in pure consciousness and in one's identity, and only then one is freed from material encumbrances. This is again referring to the stage of bhava, because at bhava only our identity is revealed. At nishta, we are situated transcendentally, and in one sense, we are in the transcendental platform. From there onwards, as we practice our bhakti, we are, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu. Nashta, almost pray, they are destroyed. Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal commentation on Vedanta Sutra by Srila Vyasadeva. So till now, which part of the verse was Prabhupada explaining? Anyone? Oh, sorry. Second verse. Which part of the verse were we discussing this paragraph? Threefold miseries, which Prabhupada spoke from two different angles based on the tattva, Achinta Veda tattva, and the threefold miseries of material. Which part of the verse he was speaking? Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it is Tapatrayan Moolanam.
Yeah. He spoke first about Vedam Vastavam Atra Vastu and Shivadam, and then Tapatraya Moolanam. So the real substance, he spoke about it, and then he connected that to Tapatraya Moolanam. Yes. So this is how we need to study the purports and mark. Okay, now we are coming to the next paragraph. Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Srila Vyas Dev. It was written in his maturity of his spiritual life through the mercy of Narad. Now, which part of the verse is Prabhupada commenting on? Anyone? Which part of the pada? Yes, Dr. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Danval. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamani Krite.
Krite. Krite means compiled,
Yes.
Compiled, yes. Having compiled. Yes, that's what now Prabhupada is speaking in this paragraph. Srila Vyas, Sri Vyasdev is the authorized incarnation of Narayan, the personality of Godhead. This Vyas is very special. He is Krishna Dwapayana Vyas. He is directly the incarnation of Narayan. The other Vyas who come at the end of Dwapar and the beginning of Kali, some are, empowered. But Krishna Dwapayana Vyas is directly the incarnation of Narayan. Remember that. Therefore, there is no question as to his authority. He is the author of all other Vedic literature, yet he recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam above all others. Kim va pare? Prabhupada is speaking about Kim va pare now. In other Puranas, there are different methods set forth by which one can worship the demigods. But in the Bhagavatam, only the Supreme Lord is mentioned. So in the other Puranas, there is also mention of, worship of the demigods. Like there is the Satviki Puranas, the Rajasi Puranas, and the Tamasiki Puranas. These are the categorization of the 18 Puranas. So some of the Rajasi Puranas, Lord Brahma is the worshipable object there. Of course, Krishna is also mentioned, Krishna Leela is mentioned, but there is worship of Brahma. In the Tamasika Puranas categories, there is Lord Shiva who is glorified there. So there is worship of the demigods mentioned. But in the Bhagavatam, only the Supreme Lord is mentioned. The Supreme Lord is the total body, and the demigods are the different parts of that body. Consequently, one who worships the Supreme Lord does not need to worship the demigods, because the Supreme Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended the Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Purana, Amala Puran, and distinguished it from all other Puranas. Now, Prabhupada has completed the discussion, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Krite. Now, Prabhupada begins in the next paragraph. The proper method of receiving this transcendental message is to hear it submissively. Now, which part of the verse is Prabhupada's commenting on? Anyone? Anyone else? Nadia Chaitanya Prabhuji. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji. It is Sadhyo Radhya Kritivihi Sushrushubihi Tachanat.
Yes, correct. And specifically, Prabhupada is speaking about Shushubhish in this
Tachanat.
line. And Sadhya Ridya Varuddhate, Prabhupada spoke in the previous line here, that the Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Sadhya Ridya Varuddhate. Only by the Srimad Bhagavatam can the Lord enter the heart of the devotee, not by reading any other Puranas. It's only by the Bhagavad Puran the Lord enters the heart. And this Vishwanath Chakrathakar in his commentary will elaborate more. There we will see that. And Shushubis is what submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. One particular word is used herein for proper guidance. This word is Shushu Shu. Shu means Shunu. Shunu means here. Shushushu means, this is a prefix to hear very attentively. Moksha means liberation. Mumukshu means those who desire liberation. Similarly, Shunu or Shu means to hear. Shushunu means those who have a desire to hear. That's the meaning. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. So where is the prefix Shru in this statement of Prabhupada? One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. Whereas Prabhupada mentioned the prefix Shru. Shru means to hear, Shru, and Shu I am speaking. Where is this Shu, not Shru, in this statement? One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. Anyone? Yes, Archana Mataji.
Prabhuji is anxious.
Anxious. Perfect. It is anxious. So we should be very much anxious. One second. There is some disturbance. Yeah. We should be very much anxious. Second. Yes, Yeah. Anxious is that term. So one should have that, what is that? Enthusiasm. Oh, I have to go to the Bhagavatam class. Tomorrow morning, I have to go to the Sunday feast, attend this seminar. So one has to prepare himself. One has to have that desire that when will I go? When will I go to the class? You know, this is the kind of enthusiasm one should have to hear this message. And seeing that desire, oh, this devotee has a desire to hear. The Lord is in the heart. And when we have this desire, we very attentively and submissively hear also. So this is what is the method Prabhupada is explaining. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. Again, Prabhupada is elaborating on this shru. The desire to sincerely hear. And what is sincere hearing means? Sincere hearing means hearing attentively. Not that you are hearing what the speaker is speaking, at the same time you're looking at your mobile, your messages. That is not sincerity. Less fortunate persons are not at all interested in hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple. We need to be simple at heart. And I heard a very profound statement. It is simple to be, it is simple to become complicated. But it is complicated to become simple. So because we are very complicated, it's very, very difficult for us to be simple. The Prabhupada is saying the process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear ideal social and political conversations. But when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they suddenly become reluctant, or they indulge in hearing the portion of the Bhagavatam they are unfit to hear. Because very, very complicated, they are, they give some excuse, or they hear something which they don't have adhikar for. Sometimes professional readers of the Bhagavatam immediately plunge into the confidential topics of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, which they interpret as sex literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning. Those who are fit to assimilate this work are mentioned in the shloka. One becomes qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam after many pious deeds. So now which line and which exact Sanskrit word is Prabhupada commenting on? Who will answer this? Anyone else also? Tirthpad Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Prabhu, Kritibihi Prabhu.
Yes, Kritibi. Now my question to you is, by doing punya, we get the adhikar to, practice bhakti, and bhakti means shravanam. So is that what is being stated here? Because pious activities was mentioned by Prabhupada in his statement.
He becomes qualified to hear Bhagavatam Prabhu.
By doing pious activities.
Not pious activities.
Then it is mentioned here. Prabhupada is also saying, yes, Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, like in one way, I think yes, because even by doing pious activities, one can accumulate Agyata Shukriti, which will take him closer to Krishna.
How pious activities don't create Agyat Sukruti? Pious activities is punya, and that punya will give you reactions in the form of, good reactions. That's it. It's karma. How can karma generate Agyat Sukriti in the form of bhakti? Bhakti is, Agyat Sukriti is bhakti. Bhakti is transcendental. Bhakti is nothing to do with karma.
But even pious activities, okay, you're talking about pure pious activities, is it?
So here the kritibi, punya, pious activities means like, Shunvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. Punya is, pious there. So this refers to bhakti uttha punya. So bhakti is, these are bhakti activities. There is karma uttha punya, the pious activities by which one performs some, opening of hospitals or digging of wells or annadana or doing these karma kanda activities. They can purify the subtle body. But if you go and hear a sadhu who is giving Bhagavatam, who is bona fide, then that purifies the soul and as well as the subtle body. And in the Jnana Marg, if one is practicing, the sadhana of Jnana, then it is Jnana Uttama Punya. Here, pious activity refers to spiritual activities of hearing and chanting the glories of life, Lord, for many, many, many lifetimes. Many, many lifetimes. That's why after many pious deeds refers to many, many lifetimes of hearing, doing bhakti activities. The intelligent person with thoughtful discretion can be assured by the great sage Vyas that he can realize the Supreme Personality directly by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Without undergoing the different stages of realization set forth in the Vedas, one can be lifted immediately to the position of Paramhamsa simply by agreeing to receive this message. So we will see more on this Kritivi in Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary. Okay, any questions up till now? We have discussed the entire verse explanation by Srila Prabhupada, and we saw how Prabhupada first Dharma Artha Kama Moksha is all Kaitava he establishes, and he then speaks about the transcendental devotee who can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, who is pure at heart. Then he speaks about the real substance, and it is all auspicious, and the Tapatra and Mulanam from two different angles based on the Chitta Beda Ved Tattva and the threefold miseries. And then this beautiful Bhagavatam is composed by Vyas in his maturity. There is no other scripture, other works to be read. And then the Lord is immediately established in the heart for those who are very eager to hear. That's how Prabhupada is explained this purport. So any questions up till now what we have discussed? Yes, Dr. Achan Mataji.
Prabhuji, it's a very silly question, but I just would like to ask this. If we all are, and I'll talk about myself. If I'm getting the opportunity to hear Bhagavatam from bona fide gurus and acharyas, so does it prove that I must have done some good deeds in my past life?
Definitely, maybe in this life only, we started our journey where we did some activities related to bhakti unknowingly. Some friend of us took us to the temple of Krishna and we offered a flower or we offered a donation. So this is all Sukruti. Bhakti Utta Sukriti. Or there was a sadhu, and we offered a pranam to that sadhu, who was a bona fide sadhu. Then these are all Agyat Sukriti, and it has built up, and now we have attained that faith, and now we are hearing Gita, Bhagavatam, and we are practicing bhakti. There is development of faith which is happening. Or in the previous lifetimes, we have accumulated that Agyat Sukriti, and that Agyat Sukriti has matured in the form of Shraddha, and now we have taken up to practices. So that there it varies, it depends, we don't know. But in Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary, we will see that there are two kinds of devotees. One who are accomplished and one who was unaccomplished. That is, those who are pure devotees, for them the Lord immediately, moment they take the name, they take the Shuddha Nam, the Lord is present in the heart. Or moment they sit and hear Bhagavatam, the Lord enters their heart. But those who are unaccomplished, that means those who are still not pure at heart and those who are still sadhakas, but they sincerely are practicing over a period of time, not immediately, ultimately the Lord will also enter their heart also. So like that, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur is going to explain that. So both for those Kritibi, those who are accomplished, and Akritibi also, those are unaccomplished also, this Bhagavatam is the only solution. There is no other way where the Lord can be attracted to the devotee. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji, yes.
Prabhu, it may not be relevant to what we discussed today, but I'm just asking this because you spoke about Gopakumar. Is it okay to ask the question or?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, Prabhuji, was Gopakumar a Nitya Siddha or a Jiva?
The journey of Gop Kumar, it's not mentioned anywhere up till now in my readings where I have studied the Srimad Bhagavad Bhagavatamrit, that he was a Nitya Siddha. It's nowhere mentioned that he was a Nitya Siddha, because he was, his journey it begins from Govardhan. From there, how he went to Swarga, Indralok, and then Brahmalok, Tapanjalalok, and then he crossed the Brahmajyoti, the Mahakala, and then went to Vaikunta, and from there his journey to Dwarka, and then ultimately to Vrindavan. So his spiritual identity is, of course, revealed as Saka in Sakya Ras, and I don't recollect his name there. So it's nowhere mentioned that he is Nitya Siddha there.
So anybody whose spiritual identity or the Swarupa is revealed, can we assume that they are Nitya Siddhas? Else,
No. That's not the
Okay.
understanding at all. There are sadhakas who are doing sadhana, and by sadhana they attain sadhya, they become siddhas. Although they are siddhas, but they are not nitya siddhas. These siddhas, when they attain perfection and go back to the spiritual world, or they might enter into Krishna Leela wherever Krishna is performing his Leelas in any of the universes. From there, they might go back to Godhead. Once they go back to Godhead, then they become Nitya Siddhas. Is it clear?
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so we will stop here. It's at 8:30, and tomorrow we will take up Vishwanath Chakra Thakur's commentary on this verse, which is very, very, very nectarian and relishing. Okay. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Hare Krishna.